Up next is Jimmie Johnson. He's our 5-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion. He's in a deadlock, as we saw outside here, deadlocked with Matt Kenseth for the number of points right now. He drives the number 48 Lowe's Chevrolet. And Jimmie, just talk about being here at Texas Motor Speedway, a track that you've had success, and certainly down to the wire right now in another close points battle.
Yeah, it definitely is a tense period of time, and actually a lot of fun once I can really slow things down and pay attention to it. And have another shot at a championship this year is something I'm very proud of, and I know our race team is. And then to have to race so hard for it and fight for each and every point as we have is most situations been a lot of fun. It's not over yet. There's still a lot to go, and it's going to be this way to the end. And excited and looking forward to it. We tested here, and I feel real good about our car. Should have a good weekend here, and we just wrapped up a few days in Homestead as well. So I feel very good about our stuff. And when we pulled in to test here and at Homestead, noticed that Joe Gibbs Racing was there too. So it's not like we're getting a leg up on Matt, and then Jeff Gordon for that matter is obviously the test sessions as well. So it's hard to feel like you've found something over them, but we did have 2 really good test sessions, and looking forward to it.
Okay, we'll take some questions now. Please try to limit it to 1 question so we can get to as many as possible. We'll start with Ed and then go to Nate.
Ed Hinton, ESPN.com. Jimmie, obviously for you and Matt, both mile-and-a-half tracks are strong points for you. Seems like at this place in the Gen 6 car the last few races you've run somewhat better than he has. But at New Hampshire and at Martinsville, his team made great strides that he didn't expect, and he was almost surprised by those 2 performances. Are you concerned that they could pull another great setup out of the hat and make great strides here and be way tougher than they've been, or maybe even outrun you here?
Yeah, I think Martinsville's the best example of that. That Matt and the team and the direction their cars are going, you can't look at past history and say that you count on a 15th place average at Martinsville for the for Matt. Now that he's in the 20, it's a far different situation. So I think the championship battle brings the best out of people, and he and his team are bringing their best each and every week. And again, Martinsville is just a great example. So I'm expecting, and I feel in order to win the championship, you need to be up front racing for the win, and I expect to see that 20 there each and every week for sure.
Go to Nate, and then to Carlos, and then to Claire. Go ahead, Nate.
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. Jimmie, not every race at this track is memorable, but it seems as if the ones that are involve duels like yourself and Keselowski last year, or you and Matt in 2007, and Matt had another one with Jeff Burton. Is there something about this track that seems to, more than maybe other mile-and-a-half tracks, to produce more of those side-by-side battles for the win, like in the closing 15 or 20 laps? Is there something about this track that sort of engenders that kind of competition for some reason? Or?
I think it has to do with the lanes and the options we have to run around here. Some of the mile-and-a-halves, especially the freshly paved mile-and-a-halves, the bottom lane is the preferred groove, and once you get position on someone, you usually end up going by. Here, and you can think back to Atlanta and how many side-by-side good finishes we've had at Atlanta over the years. I think here in Atlanta both, you can't complete a pass as easy as you would think, and just because there is a second lane, and you just don't storm on by on the bottom, and there's probably something in that.
Let's go with Carlos, Claire, and then Lee. Go ahead, Carlos.
Carlos Mendez, Forward Star Telegram. Jimmie?
No.
You and Matt, would you say you guys have very similar personalities, and does that help you kind of understand what he's thinking on the racetrack?
Yeah, I think that we do have a lot of similarities. I think that the way we race, being around him, off the racetrack as well, and his family, and a variety of aspects. I think we do have a lot in common. I wouldn't say that we're identical, but we do, have something very deep down that is common between both of us. The way we approach things, a little more laid back, stuff like that. I think so for sure.
We'll go with Claire, Lee, Lewis, and we'll end with Marty. Go ahead, Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius
You're right,
XM,
Jimmie.
NASCAR Radio.
Way over.
Over here. And, it's interesting when you see boxing matches and that sort of thing. the guys get together and they're fierce in front of the media, and then they go their separate ways and they don't see each other as much until they do battle. Here you come and there's the headline deadlock when you walk in, and you and Matt, in the media center pass each other. Heck, your motor coaches are, you live right near each other at the track. How wild is it to stage a battle with somebody that's going to be so intense, so much on the line, pass them here and stay right next to him? And do you think that there's an element of when it's your year, it's just your year?
Yeah, I think when it's your year, and you can look back on it once the season's over and look at where things could have turned badly for you and where fortune kind of came your way. So, but now it's just too tough, especially with it tied up in the points like it is. But coming into our sport, it's been ever since I got onto four wheels and I had teammates. The dynamic of competing hard and thinking, like we were joking about, I guess it was at the test in Homestead, I was joking around saying, these people, you have friendships outside of the car or your teammates and whatever it is, then you get in the car and you think badly about that guy and you want bad things to happen to him. So that dynamic started when I got on four wheels. When I raced dirt bikes, you raced for yourself, really didn't have teammates or anything to worry about from a team standpoint. But since I've been on four wheels, and it's there, and that's a tough thing to get used to, and I think that kids coming along in today's world are far more open-minded to it. I feel like the way I was raised and always had a teammate that I came in under prepped me for this, and I was very thankful, and it was something that Jeff and Rick both liked when I came on board. And the guys ahead of me, like Nadu and some of the other folks that were at Hendrick, they didn't grow up in that system, so it was more difficult for them to be open and to share like they needed to. So it's just, at the end of the day, it's just a different dynamic than a lot of other sports. But people question sometimes how we can put our helmets on and go to work and race as hard as we do. All of us in here know it. You see it each and every week. But there really is two worlds, outside the car and then in the car world.
Lee, Lewis, and in with Marty. Go ahead, Lee.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Last year, Keselowski went around and repaired all the damaged relationships he had when he was running for a Chase. You've got Greg Biffle that, you had the run-in last week. Did he finally call you? And if so, do you feel like it's in the past?
I do feel like it's in the past. We unfortunately haven't had a chance to talk. We've been in communication through text trying to get together. He's had a busy week. I was in Homestead testing for a couple days. But, I do feel like that things are under control there. And I feel like if he was that angry in the car, he probably would have turned me around in Martinsville. I just don't see how it would linger on and over. So certainly hate that things turned out as they did, but I don't think it's going to go any further.
We'll go to Lewis and end with Marty Smith.
Lewis Frank, Speed Week. You've been around a while. We know that anything can happen in racing. But looking back at Martinsville, where you were a heavy favorite coming in and got an okay result, you think we may look at Martinsville result as a turning point in the chase?
I don't know. The biggest difference in our finishing order, I guess, would be Talladega so far. So it depends on which way it goes. If it goes the 48's direction, then you might look at a different race. If it goes the 20's way, you definitely look at Martinsville. But there still are 3 races left. There's no telling what's going to happen. Yep.
Final question, far right corner, Marty Smith.
Marty Smith, ESPN. When Matt was in here, Johnson, he was discussing how, I think it was 06 in Vegas, you got him in the last corner. 07 here, you ended up beating him. And that still stings him. How hard is it to let those go, and how would you describe, I mean, you guys have had some pretty epic battles together over the years. Clean, hard.
Yep.
How would you describe that general dynamic of racing against him that hard throughout the years?
Well, those moments do sting, and I have one with Carl Edwards in Atlanta, and I see the video occasionally, and it still hits me deep. I'm like, man, I can't believe I came that close to winning, and it slipped away, 50 yards from the finish line. So those do stick around. It doesn't make me want to crash Carl or dislike him or race him any harder. Just you hate that it got away. But Matt and I have always had a very good respect for one another on the track, especially the Cup Series. In the Cup Series at this level, we've been able to get to that line and respect each other on the track. So, and accidents do happen, and stuff can happen. We're out there racing hard for our team for a championship, and we'll see how things turn out. But I expect really good racing as we get through these next 3 races.